If you're looking for the best classical guitar, here's a list you must see. We made this list based on our personal preference and sorted it based on their features, prices, quality, durability, and reputation of the manufacturers and customer feedback. Also, we've included options for every type of customer. So let's get started. At the first position of our list, we have Cordoba C7 SP Acoustic Nylon String Classical Guitar. With regards to old-style guitars, one of the most well-known brands for beginners to consider is Cordoba. From all of its guitars, this Cordoba C7 is among the best classical guitar for beginners, which is certainly for progressed players and even semi-experts to likewise consider buying. The primary thing that will grab your attention at first sight is most likely the cost. Well, more than $500 is definitely not a limited quantity of cash, particularly for the principal guitar. Nonetheless, there's a valid justification why the cost of this guitar is this high. Having as a main priority Cordoba's notoriety, it's practically sure that every single one of their guitars will be somewhat great as per its cost obviously, and this model isn't an exemption. Overall, this Cordoba C7 guitar is unquestionably worth paying more to get it. It is more than sufficient in any event for cutting-edge players, including fantastic sound, flawless equipment, and simple to play. If new players are eager to pay this measure of cash, this is certainly the best classical guitar for beginners. Moving on to the next at number 2 with Takamine GC5CE NAT Acoustic-Electric Classical Cutaway Guitar. Besides Cordoba, Takamine is likewise a notable producer of both acoustic and electric guitars. This GC5CE is famous for being among the best classical guitar for beginners from Takamine products line. This is likewise a guitar that is in the more exorbitant cost run. In any case, recollect this is as yet a low spending classification, as you can without much of a stretch discover old-style guitars that cost a couple $1,000s. However, there are valid justifications why this guitar is somewhat more costly. Most importantly, it is made of a strong wood, not of cover. As we have referenced, this element is significant on the grounds that it impacts the guitar sound. This is the reason this guitar has a rich and warm sound. Its tone is splendid and punchy, with a ton of snap. Overall, Takamine GC5CE is proven as the best classical guitar for beginners. They cost somewhat more than the greater part of our rundown, yet there are purposes behind it. It has a strong wood body, underlying preamp, flawless splendid sound. The number 3 position is held by Cordoba C5 CD Classical Acoustic Nylon String Guitar. This C5 Iberia series is another best classical guitar for beginners from Cordoba that varies in barely any qualities from the C7 mentioned on the rundown. We should perceive what these distinctions are and discover more about this guitar. Like the entirety of the guitars, this one additionally is a bracket pole. This is a typical component for the electric and acoustic guitar. However, not many old-style guitars have one. If you don't know what the bracket bar is, it is essentially a bar that experiences the guitar neck and permits you to alter the measure of its bow. This bar is important because you can't change the activity of the strings without it. In this way, if they are excessively high for you, you can bring down the activity to improve the playability. Moreover, its activity is really low, so it is extremely simple to play. Besides, if you are left-given, you don't need to make any adjustments and changes on this guitar, as it is likewise accessible for left-gave individuals. Likewise, this model comes in various sizes for you to choose from, including half-size form, 3/4 adaptation, and 7/8 rendition. Overall, the Cordoba C5 Iberia series is an incredible guitar for a limited quantity of cash with extraordinary looks, incredible tone, and works impeccably. So, if you consider its low value, at that point, this makes it the ideal old-style guitar for fledglings. Next at number 4, we have Ibanez AEG10 NII Nylon String Cutaway Acoustic-Electric Guitar. AEG10 NII, which is the first Ibanez guitar on our list, is well known for being on the top best classical guitar for beginners with many outstanding features. At the point when you think about an old-style guitar, Ibanez is most likely not the principal brand that strikes a chord. However, this isn't the main fascinating thing about this guitar. Above all else, AEG10 NII is a smaller size, body contrasted with the standard size of the traditional guitar. It is somewhat more slender, which makes it exceptionally useful and agreeable for beginners. This guitar truly looks pleasant with its glass finish. Even though this Ibanez model has a nylon string, This guitar is still a semi-electric since it has an inherent preamp framework, and not simply of any sort. The sound is astounding as it has a splendid sound and is away from ideal measures of lows. It also comes with Fisherman piezo pickup, and preamplifiers are working admirably with regards to enhancing the sound. Overall, Ibanez EG10NII is well deserved as on the top best classical guitar for beginners with great sound and amazing looks. Impeccable amateur traditional guitar for those of you who intend to play with a band. Additionally, because of its cutaway, it's ideal for soloing. The number 5 position is held by Yamaha CG122MCH solid cedar top classical guitar. Yamaha has produced various kinds of fantastic guitars, especially classical guitars for beginners, and this CG122MCH is famous for the best classical guitar for beginners from Yamaha with many special features. The incredible thing about this guitar is that it has a strong wood top. This is particularly significant on account of the old-style guitar with no gadgets. As for this situation, the guitar body is the main wellspring of the sound. This Yamaha guitar also has a glossy silk finish. Presently, a few people accept that solitary the lower quality guitars have a glossy silk finish, albeit some of the time. This is valid. It isn't generally the situation. The reason for the completion is to ensure this guitar surface. Overall, if you are eager to get a classical guitar to start your learning time, this Yamaha CG122MCH is an ideal beginner old-style guitar for you to consider. Its strong top gives you a superb sound, and it is entirely agreeable for playing. Thus, it has all the basic things that you need. The number 6 position is dominated by Yamaha CGS104A full-size classical guitar. Though Yamaha makes a ton of different instruments, old-style guitars are one of their most well-known items. Yamaha guitars are superb, which is the reason they as a rule cost $2,000 or $3,000. However, CGS104A additionally is a more reasonable guitar for new players. Though it is less expensive, this guitar is planned by the specialist, making it another best classical guitar for beginners available. As should be obvious, starting now and into the foreseeable future, we are checking on guitars that are in a low price range. This is both acceptable and a terrible thing. On one hand, you'll set aside some cash. Notwithstanding, you can't generally anticipate the high quality. Like most of the traditional guitars, this one is additionally simple to play since it has an entirely agreeable and smooth neck and low activity. The incredible thing about this guitar is that you will likewise get an entire bundle with it, including a strong gig sack, cut on the tuner, instructional DVD, strings, picks, and cleaning fabric. In this way, you have a real sense from a low-cost guitar. Overall, Yamaha CG104A was certainly outstanding amongst other starter traditional guitars. It is more than adequate with respectable sound and great equipment. Additionally, you will get all the embellishments you need, so if you love playing an old-style guitar, you should consider this one. Moving on to the next at number 7 with Yamaha C4011 classical guitar. This C4011 is another best classical guitar for beginners from Yamaha that is an extraordinary decision for new players. It all concedes to certain qualities, so you ought to investigate every last one of it and see which one you incline toward the most. This guitar normally arrives in a bundle, so you'll likewise get a gig sack, tuner, and DVD with exercises. Essentially, everything you require to start playing. Though Marigny is certifiably not a famous wood for guitars, this is really an exceptionally solid wood which makes this guitar ideal for hefting around. As with most traditional guitars, this one is a comfortable guitar for beginners to play. The nylon strings don't have a ton of pressure, so you can play delicately. There is no compelling reason to press the strings too hard, which is ideal for the amateur's fingers. Overall, Yamaha C4011 is proven as the top best classical guitar for beginners on our list, in excess of a usable guitar with a nice sound. This is an ideal decision for any apprentice who is into old-style guitars. Though this guitar has a couple of inadequacies, you should remember it's still a great old-style guitar in excess of a liberal cost. The number 8 position is held by Fender Beginner acoustic guitar. Although Fender is most popular for its electric and low-register guitars, it additionally makes astounding traditional guitars. From all their great guitars, Fender Acoustic Guitar MC1 is the best classical guitar for beginners due to its perfect features. The most significant thing to refer to is that this guitar has a smaller size than the standard old-style guitar. It is a 3/4 size guitar with a shorter scale of 23.3 inches. Other than that, it is additionally extremely light. These attributes make it the ideal traditional guitar for kids to begin their learning time. This is a delightful guitar as it is a characteristic completion and a stunning wood tone. Additionally, there's a mosaic around its sound opening, which is a decent touch. It might appear to be repetitive, but we don't break down its visual viewpoint for reasons unknown. Overall, Fender MC1 is one of the great starter old-style guitars for kids. It has a little body, agreeable neck, looks delightful, and is extremely modest. So if you are looking for a beginner classical guitar for your kids, you should take a look at this guitar. Next at number 9, we have Ibanez 6-string classical guitar. K3 is another best classical guitar for beginners from Ibanez on our rundown. In contrast to the past one, this model doesn't have any gadgets in it, which implies you can't join it to an intensifier. This model is also less expensive than the previous Ibanez model. This Ibanez model looks incredible. Like the Fender above, it has a delightful characteristic done with a mosaic around the sound gap. Simply taking a gander at this guitar makes you want to play it. Besides, the sound is a path over its cost. It has a straightforward and clear tone with bunches of mids. Likewise, it is very noisy. This fundamentally implies this guitar is more than sufficient for rehearsing reason. With regards to your first traditional guitar, all you need is good stability and no awful buzz. And this guitar gives you both of these. Overall, K3 is well worth being the best classical guitar for beginners from Ibanez. On the off chance that you are a learner, this guitar is actually what you need. You'll get a nice sounding guitar with decent equipment, and you won't go through a ton of cash. Finally, the number 10 position is dominated by Protege by Cordoba C100M full-size classical guitar. Protege by Cordoba C100M is another best classical guitar for beginners from Cordoba. On the off chance that you lean toward a characteristic completion, this is a great choice for you. It has a brilliant wood tone and truly looks more extravagant. Concerning sound, on one side, it has a fair stable, adequate for amateurs' motivations. Notwithstanding, this guitar has a fret buzz, which may be simply misfortune. Indeed, these less expensive instruments can fluctuate with regards to sound and in general quality. This implies two guitars of a similar model can be altogether extraordinary. Thus, perhaps this buzz isn't the normal thing on this guitar. There is an approach to conquer this buzzing issue, so you can generally raise the activity a piece. At the point when you do this, you'll increment the separation between the string and the neck so it won't contact different frets while vibrating. Overall, this Protege by Cordoba C100M is amongst the best classical guitar for beginners. It has a couple of imperfections yet for this measure of cash. It is normal. So, if you are searching for a classical guitar to begin your amazing playing experience, we highly recommend you take a look at this Cordoba model. That's all for today. We upload music product review videos every single day, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for the upcoming video notification.